What if I told you the best players in the world don't even agree on how to break an 8-ball? I spent hours watching the top 5 players in the world, frame by frame, analyzing everything from where they place the cue ball to how far they follow through and to how many strokes they take before they actually break. And the deeper I looked, the more I realized the break isn't about perfection. Even the pros switch sides, change their bridges, and miss their mark. But underneath all those differences, there's a pattern, a rhythm that separates the good from the greats. And once you see it, it completely changes the way you think about the break. So the first thing I learned was about the cue ball placement and how the 5 pros that I looked into, those being Joshua Filler, Fedor Gorst, Ameer Ali, Francisco Sánchez Ruiz, and Shane Van Boening. They are currently the top 5 8-ball players in the world. Every single one of them puts the cue ball on the head string. That's actually not something I ever realized, especially it being how common they use it. But what's interesting is Joshua Filler, the #1 player in the world, he changes it up more than everybody else. There was one break that I did see him do from behind the head string, and he actually used the back rail for his bridge. But there was one match that he had just recently, 3 weeks ago, I believe. He started here, like in the middle of the table, went to the left side, and then went to the right side after 4 breaks. And then he stuck with that right side break for the rest of the match. I would never do that in a tournament match. I just would never think of it. But it's actually not uncommon. Shane Van Boening actually decided to go ahead and stick with the center of the table, or like just off center of the table. And what he ended up doing was hitting the head ball, but over time he gradually moved farther away, but he still stayed between the first diamond and the center diamond, which was very interesting. And then there was also Francisco Ruiz, who stayed dead center for most of his match. And then by the end of it, he was a full ball to the left of center. I know that might not make a huge difference, but it did for him. He was able to win that match. They recognize it, they're aware of it, and they know that moving to the left of ball's width, or moving from the left side to the right side of the table, is going to make a huge difference in how they finish that match in that tournament. And ironically, the break test that we did last week with the 9-ball break actually is the most preferred break style for both Fedor Gorst and Joshua Filler. They both prefer to stay close to the rail about a ball's width away and then aim straight at that head ball with the best likely chance of at least making 1 ball. I think that's all they were really going for. And they were very focused on where the cue ball landed. Even if they made 1 or maybe even 2, they would still have like a, oh man. And I think that was just because of where the cue ball landed and how tight the rest of the rack might have been on the same rail. Cue ball placement isn't just about like preference like I used to think. It's actually about problem solving and how even the slightest change in position can go ahead and give you a completely different result. They know that's the case and they're aware and they adapt to it. Let's go ahead and move back and look at their actual stance when they're at the table. Fedor Gorst and Joshua Filler both have a very similar stance when it comes to positioning. They both keep their legs mostly straight but with a slight bend in the knee, which then allows them to go ahead and push forward and actually lift their back foot to help them put a little bit more power into their actual break itself. And they do it with every break. Doesn't matter if they're in the center or if they're on the left side, they always have like a very slight bend and then they really kick off with their back foot. But what was super interesting for me is when I noticed that Ameer Ali in one of his most recent matches playing 8-ball, he didn't have that much. He was more about having a control and just really digging down and using his arm for all the power. He was very neutral, then might have flexed his body a little bit. Not much more than that compared to Fedor. There's not one right way to produce as much power when it comes to either using your whole body or having a very punchy stab at the actual cue ball. I think there's not really a right or wrong way to do it, as long as it matches the rhythm you already have with your cue, as well as what you want the cue ball to do afterwards. Something else I noticed that kind of threw me for a loop was, pun intended, was when I realized every single one of those pro players uses a closed bridge on the break.
It's funny, I saw a reel that
Yes, that might seem super obvious, I get that, but I have played with both, and I feel like I actually have better momentum when I don't have the finger over top. I think every single one of them does have a glove, but maybe that's something I should get next time is a glove. Joshua Filler does play around more than anyone else when it comes to the break. He has open and closed break styles, and he switches it, like I said, in the same match. He went from the center with a closed bridge to the left side with an open, and then all the way to the right with an open. So my key takeaway on the bridge is that there's gotta be a reason that all the pros use a closed bridge, and I got a feeling that's for being able to have consistent stability when using power. This one is actually really fun to compare. It's the amount of follow through each player uses consistently. When it comes to Ruiz and Shane with their insane full body drilling into the table, they're able to follow through so far it goes at least the diamond, if not more than that, until it touches the felt.
Sure, that's break a run from he.
I've actually seen a couple of breaks from Shane. A ball actually comes off of that and almost clips his Q-tip before he can even get it off the table because of how far he might drill it into the table itself.
Going on. Battles
When it comes to Filler and Gorst, I've noticed that they still follow through just enough until they can touch the felt. When it came to Ameer Ali, he had a very punchy break where it would just go like just past the cue ball maybe, and he wouldn't really follow through like you would see the other pros or even people in your own league that you've been taught by. You are able to get by with a short punchy break if you want to. If you make very clean contact and acceleration with the cue ball, you can get a great spread. Another fun one that I like to explore was their pre-shot routine. How some of them would go ahead and stand up, get a few strokes in advance, and then when they actually got down to the table with their closed bridge and the cue ball on the head string, they would actually have a very similar number of strokes for all of their breaks, except for Joshua Filler. Ameer and Ruiz were the most consistent. Ameer going almost on every 8th stroke. He'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then on the 8th one, hit the cue ball. It was always number 8. And I think one time I counted number 9.
Ruiz is doing on the break here.
Joshua Filler, though, was not consistent at all. I think the most I counted was like 11 strokes before he hit it, and the shortest being only 5 strokes before he hit it, all in the same match. It's mind-blowing. It really is. I really don't understand. There's no secret method or way that he knows other than just going by what feels right. He just plays the game and enjoys it. 4 out of the 5 top professionals are all within 2 strokes of each other, and they all enter into their stance the same way every single time. They take the same amount of strokes. They pause on their last stroke before they all go in, before they just let it rip and explode it into the rack. The last thing I noticed that really changed the way I think about breaking is their ability to adapt so quickly. If Josh or Shane doesn't make a ball on their first break, they're gonna change something. Shane had fun going left and right. Joshua Filler had fun going all over the kitchen. Staying again on the head string, that's again still as consistent as they can get. But they didn't wait to figure out after 3 or 4 breaks if they need to change the position. They would change the position of the cue ball itself after 1 break. And if it didn't react like they wanted it to, they'd go on to the 3rd try. After studying these top 5 players, I realized the perfect break doesn't exist. It's actually just a ton of imperfect ones that they've learned to understand and adapt. Even the best in the world are constantly experimenting, adjusting, and reacting. Every adjustment, every single switch is based on what the table tells them. And that's what separates the great players from everyone else. They're not afraid to experiment. It's about noticing what works and adapting fast. So the next time you break, stop trying to copy a pro and learn to think like one. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are interested in watching another break video, make sure to click up here. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more pool content. And this has been Trent on the Break. I made 2. Again, we gotta follow through, put a lot of power into it. Good.